Hey guys, welcome back. Well, we've been thinking about it, and we are going to go full race car. Man, this has been a huge decision. Been not making this decision for a long time. Been trying to keep this thing a street car, but a lot of people already know that that's kind of the problem. Is you can build it to be a good street car, you can build it to be a good race car. It's kind of hard to build a car that can do both. And I'll be honest with you, I like the challenge of doing both, but it's kind of too much right now. So we've thought about it, and I'll go into the details in a minute, but for now, we're going to build this to be race car only. And then maybe in the future, if we want to, try to bring it back to street use, we could do that, but not right now. For now, it's just going to be race car. So here's the thinking. So for a while now, I have the Miata. I've had this thing forever. I have an Outback that I don't drive, which is kind of sad, but it just sits. My daily is a Mercedes, and I normally drive it. And it's a good car. It's fair. I don't know, it's kind of reliable, kind of not. But it's just high running cost. And one of the problems with if I make this a race car only, I have no way of getting it to the track. That's kind of like the number one problem, unless you drive it there. But it's not race only then, and it's got to be street and race, so you can still drive it there. And so that's a problem. So I was like, a long time ago, I decided to get these big tires, which if you're going to be racing, you need to have good traction. That's pretty important, especially when you're drag racing. This is like a huge thing in drag racing. A lot of the people I used to race would have a car that had power, but it never had traction. And you really need traction in drag racing. The 60 foot and your launch is a huge part of the race. And I used to have slicks, but they weren't great. These are nice. So we decided to do that. But that presents a problem, which is I can't drive on the street with a literal slick. These things are soft, they get cut, they wear out fast. There's obviously no tread, so you basically have to pull over if it even rained or it was even wet. Just not a good idea, and there's no room for a spare, and it goes on and on and on. And there's plenty of other issues too, like trying to keep it street legal, keep the emissions equipment going. And I'm in Texas, and everybody just, nobody worries about that, but it kind of bugs me. I really don't want to be one of those guys, so it's all just kind of been a problem, and I've been trying to figure out what to do, and the car's been kind of sitting, and I'm kind of at a crossroads where I'm like, well, hell, actually I have this Excel sheet, and I was trying to plan out my build, and the actual thing at the top was decide if street car or race car, which you can see. I mean, this is how the only thing I've done is basically rip all the wiring out and pull a few things off the front, but it's mostly been looking like this for a while. I mean, it looks like a race car, and my plan was to just try to keep it street legal, but basically as race car as I can and still be street legal. Sounds awesome, and like I said, maybe one day, but it's just so much work. One of the big challenges is the emissions equipment. So for this car, I know I can do it. I've actually done this before. This car, I've drove this on the street for years, not lately, but when I did, it was completely emissions compliant. It takes some work, but it's not impossible. You got to get your EGR tube hooked up, and pretty much everything else, you just have to keep it hooked up. You don't really have to do anything. But it's a lot easier to just remove it than to have to keep all that stuff working. Because you have charcoal canisters and purge solenoids and, blah, blah, blah. And there's a bunch of stuff back there in the gas tank. And, of course, you got the EGR. That's a big one. Plus all your O2 sensors, catalytic converter, And then, of course, you need the stock computer. And that's a big, big problem. You can't really run, I was running 30, 40 pounds of boost. How do you do that on a stock computer? Well, what I had to do was have two computers. I had to have the factory ECU, and I had to have a standalone, that's how I did it. And it was a lot of work. In fact, here's the computer. I just took it out of the car. That's the OEM computer. And that's been in the car, the whole time. And then this is the harness, a separate harness that plugs into a standalone ECU. So essentially I had two computers, two wiring harnesses. Like this whole blob here is aftermarket. I built all this. Well, not that little piece over there, but all this other stuff I built. Fuse panel, relays, wires, plugs to go to the ECU. That's all for the standalone. So essentially, I ran my fuel and spark on the standalone, but I left all the other stuff that was important for emissions controlled by the factory computer. And it took some fiddling and, kind of experimenting to figure out how to make all that jive and keep it happy, but I did figure it out, and it did work. But lots of weight, lots of complexity. When you're under the hood, you got hoses and pipes and tubes and vacuum hoses, and it's just kind of a mess. So my plan was take all that shit off the car, move it to like the back of the car where it's kind of like out of sight and get it out of the way, and then hook it all back up. That was the plan. I think it would work, but it's more crap to it's just even more stuff to have to do. So like I said, for now, race car only. Probably going to be race car only from now on. So here's how we're going to do that. So we're going to keep the Miata. This is going to be race car only. The Mercedes, I have that. All right, let's pause for a second. I'm going to have to buy another vehicle. I need to be able to tow this car to the track. I have an Outback. You could very sketchily make that work if you had like a tow dolly. I have towed this car on a tow dolly, but you know, with slicks and everything, you'd have to tow it with the front wheels on the ground, and that's kind of, you know, weird. So I'd rather not, but you can, but it's sketchy, and that's not really what I want. I want to have like a nice setup, so I'm going to go buy a pickup truck. That's the plan. Unfortunately, it's kind of a bad time to buy trucks right now. They're pretty expensive. I'm going to basically I think my plan right now is I'm going to pick up an F-150, just order one the way I want it, and I'm just going to buy like a cheap, basically a base model, regular cab, and then I'm going to add a few options to make it livable for a daily driver, and we're going to buy that. And so the plan will be pickup truck for a daily driver, and then Mercedes can be like a weekend car, and then this will be the race car, and we'll sell the Outback. That's kind of the plan. And if it turns out daily driving the truck sucks, well, it'll just be for race car and truck use, and then I'll just keep on driving the Mercedes, because normally I just daily the Mercedes. I've had this thing for, it's actually a little over 8 years old, and it's an awesome daily driver. It's just that the running costs and the maintenance are expensive. Being an AMG, that's just kind of how it goes. So, you know, but it's fun. But it does beat you up. The suspension's rough, and fuel economy sucks. You know, kind of stuff you'd expect on AMG. But that's kind of the plan, and it'll kind of be good. So the F-150 I'm looking at, I'm going to get one with the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, which is basically the second engine. They make like 4 or 5 different motors for it. You can get a 5 liter V, you know, y'all probably know all this. You can get a 5.0 V8. That's kind of the one to get probably. But the 2.7 is, they say it's got really good reliability, but it's also got really good fuel economy. And I figure if I'm going to daily drive it, to be honest with you, that's actually pretty important. This car knocks down almost 18 mpg. It used to get 17 and a half, but nowadays it gets about 18 because I did some repairs. I had a cat going out and I didn't know it. So, you know, this gets about 18, but that's on premium fuel, and premium is like 80 or 90 cents higher than regular over here in Texas. So my fuel cost, like right now, is about $4.50 a gallon. So sorry for the wind. Let me get out of the wind. But yeah, $4.50 a gallon, 18 mpg. I'm gonna pick up a truck, and I think it'll get like 20 or 22 probably, so a little bit better mileage. But I'll also get, I can run that on regular. So I'll be saving a little bit on MPG, and I'll be saving almost $1 a gallon on fuel. That should be nice. Also, it's kind of crazy, but I'm pretty sure a pickup truck rides better than this thing, just because the suspension's so stiff. So that's kind of the plan. This is going to be a weekend car, and that should help drop the running costs some. I mean, it's still, you know, you still got to maintain it, but if you're not driving it every day, you won't wear it out as fast. You won't break things and wear things out as much. So that'll be kind of nice. I estimate I'll probably save $100 a month on fuel, because I do drive a decent amount going to work and coming up to the shop and stuff. So I'll basically, this car, I'm going to drop the insurance. Probably should have done that a long time ago, because this car hasn't run in a long time, and I've had it insured the whole time. Yeah, LOL. Yeah, sad face. So drop the insurance on this, drop the insurance on the Subaru, or just sell the Subaru, whatever. Sell the Subaru, buy a pickup truck, and I'll have to get a trailer. I looked into it. You can buy a trailer. I think they're about $5,000 to get a cheap one that'll do the job. Hopefully I can park the trailer at my house or somewhere. I got to figure that out. Worst case, I'll have to rent somewhere to put a trailer, but hopefully I can keep that somewhere. I rent a house now, and there's just not a lot of room. But anyway, that's going to be the plan. Pickup truck, trailer, make this a race car, and we'll tow it to the track. There are some huge advantages to that, and I guess I'll probably do another video, because this one's kind of dragging on. But the next video, I'm going to kind of go over all the benefits of because this is now going to be a race car only, all the benefits that brings. I'm sure there's got to be at least a couple people that are sad to see that this is only going to be a race car, but there's probably way more that would rather see it be a race car. But yeah, we are going to give up a few things, but man, it's going to get easier to make this fast now. So anyway, till next time, y'all take it easy.